Hello. I wanted to come on today to give a little bit of clarity to some of the other videos that I had already done, especially around creation. Um, I have since woken up more and have a much greater clarity of what took place in the very, very beginning. So I wanted to try to express this and, bear with me because as I continue to wake up, excuse me, more and more information comes forward. So I'm trying to bring this as clear as possible. So I had described that, I was first thought of Prime Creator and that my reason for this particular incarnation, or not this particular incarnation, but the incarnation of what had become the Matrix, was that I had created lots of different galaxies and planets and so on. And each time I brought this back to Source for Source to integrate the information and expand. And this is what consciousness does. Consciousness expands information. And so having done this many times before, I realized that the one thing that Source had not experienced was itself. And so that was my desire to be expressed as this thought that Source could experience itself. And so I was expressed as this thought, and as I was expressed, I created this beautiful flower. Well, I realized that that flower was the Christic spiral, which is the no beginning and no end. It is the true organic frequencies of creation of Prime Creator. But what happened is that because this is a basically mirror geometry of creation itself and how creation works, is that um, information, so the universe is a breath, right? So the breath breathes in the darkness and out the light. And so as the universe or source breathes into the darkness, we're breathing into the unpotentialized potential energy, and then we breathe out the potential. Well, because this thought is basically through these geometries, the mirror of Source itself, then in order for it to create, it would need to continually be brought into the darkness and expressed out. And that's what I feel more took place, is that as creation itself began to occur from this Christic spiral, it would be taken into the darkness to sort of collect information for then it to be expressed. And so each time this occurred, there was a drop in consciousness, a more density, because of each time being brought into the darkness. And I tend to think that when beings are at higher dimensional fields and they have to bring their consciousness down to come into a lower dimensional field, this is the way that it actually occurs. And so this is what I feel happened. And each time the energy was expressed into the darkness and expressed out of the light, we're dropping down into these dimensional fields, which is why eventually we ended up in, a ninth dimensional field, then a seventh dimensional field, then a fifth dimensional field. And it was, during the fifth dimensional field that everything was at a state of balance. This is at the time that Atlantis and Lemuria were flourishing. And then I think at that time in the fifth dimensional field is when the Anunnaki and other beings came in and began to further play in this creation and dropped humanity into that third dimensional field. And I think once we were dropped into the third dimensional field, that's when the geometries changed from the Christic spiral to the flower of life. And why? Because that's when the beings that were there wanted to play God. And that's the difference in the energetics of the Christic spiral and the flower of life is that the Christic spiral is no beginning and no end. So it's recognizing the law of one, whereas the flower of life actually is a limited and it's a taking. If you feel the energetics of it, it's a very structural difference. Anyway, this is kind of all I wanted to bring for today. I just wanted to bring a little bit of clarity. I know that this is a lot of information, and I am in the process of writing a book, and I'm going to come back and bring more information for you. But, you know, for those that have been following me and listening to this, I just wanted to give a little bit more clarity. And remember that I'm talking on many multidimensional layers and levels. So if this isn't making sense to your conscious mind, it'll make sense to somewhere within you, because I am, you know, in a particular field that has the possibility to waking you up. Okay. See you again soon.